Have you ever just stopped to think about all the hidden rules that make our worlds, actually work? I'm not talking about the laws written in books. I mean the invisible agreements that let us do everything from buying a coffee to investing our savings. Well, today we're gonna pull back that curtain and take a look at this hidden architecture.
It really all starts with a question like this one. Because at its heart, our entire global economy is just built on a massive series of promises. But what gives those promises any real weight? What turns a simple agreement into a system that billions of people can rely on every single day? Who's keeping score?
So that's the big question we're diving into here. We're gonna break it down by looking at three huge ideas: standards, trust, and networks. These three pillars, working together, pretty much form the invisible scaffolding of modern life. So let's start at the very bottom with the foundation. Our journey begins with the most fundamental layer of all, standards. I know, it might not sound super exciting, but trust me, without them, almost nothing we take for granted would even be possible. So what exactly is a standard? Well, it's basically a shared shortcut. Think about something like a USB plug that connects all your different devices, right? Or those standardized shipping containers that let goods move from a truck to a train to a ship, just seamlessly. These agreements on a common format, they get rid of all the costly adapters and custom gear, and they let different systems just work together. And the impact is just night and day. Without a standard, you're dealing with tons of friction and costly mistakes. Everything's slow, expensive. But the moment a standard is adopted, that friction just plummets. Transactions settle fast, and you get predictable results. It's like you're paving a super smooth highway where there used to be just a bumpy, uncertain dirt road.
All right, so once you have these smooth, predictable paths in place, something really incredible starts to happen. You start to build the next crucial layer: trust. This quote absolutely nails what trust means in an economic system. See, it's not really an emotion, it's a result. It's the confidence that builds up from seeing the same positive outcome over and over and over again.
And you can see how this all connects in a really logical way. It all starts with that shared standard. That standard then produces repeatable, predictable outcomes. That repetition builds confidence. In other words, trust. And once you have trust, you can create a network that goes way beyond just people who know each other personally. And that brings us to our third and final pillar: networks. This is where the magic of standards and trust really gets to scale up, creating these vast, interconnected systems that span the globe.
I just love this phrase, liquidity loves predictable pipes. What does that mean? Well, simply put, it means money and resources flow where the risk is lowest and the outcome is the most certain. Capital, money, it hates surprises. It's always looking for the systems that are reliable, stable, and, predictable.
So the most important thing to get is that successful networks are built on a bedrock of reliability. That predictability is what pulls in investment. They have what's called interoperability, thanks to those shared standards we talked about, that lets total strangers do business safely. But here's the catch. Scale is a double-edged sword. It makes your advantages bigger, sure, but it also makes any little error in the system much, much bigger too. So what happens when these incredibly powerful, scaled-up systems get hit with a major shock? What happens when the predictable suddenly becomes completely unpredictable? A crisis. It doesn't matter if it's a war, a pandemic, or a financial crash, is the ultimate stress test. It's kind of like a warranty on a product. You don't really know how good that warranty is until something actually breaks. These events test the underlying promises, the warranties of our entire economic order. And we can actually see a pattern in how this all plays out. You start with stability, everything's running smoothly. Then, boom, the shock hits, and that's when the test begins. Things like sanctions or supply chain blockades suddenly reveal all these hidden dependencies we never even thought about. This forces everyone to adapt. Old rules get tossed out, new ones are tried on the fly. And finally, what comes out the other side is a new normal, where the survivors take what they learned and standardize the things that actually worked under pressure. And these lessons, they are not theoretical. A crisis teaches by sending you an invoice. The consequences of a systemic failure are real, they are immediate, and they are incredibly expensive. So all this brings us to our final and maybe the most important idea of all. After seeing how systems are built and how they break, what's the real secret to making them last? We often celebrate the builders, the innovators, the people who create brand new things. But the real enduring power, it's not in the spectacular launch. It's in the quiet, unglamorous, day-to-day work of maintenance, just keeping the system running. That is the true empire. This really frames the idea of longevity perfectly. Reliability isn't something you achieve just once. It compounds over time, just like interest. Our most important institutions, they're basically just habits with a lot of paperwork. And those standards that anchor our systems, well, they'll start to drift if they aren't constantly checked and rechecked. Creation might be a sprint, but it's maintenance that wins the marathon.
And that's the ultimate sign of a truly successful system, isn't it? It works so seamlessly that it becomes invisible. It just fades into the background, quietly and reliably doing its job, letting us get on with our lives.
So I'll just leave you with this question. From the moment you woke up this morning, what is one invisible rule, one piece of this whole architecture of trust that you've already relied on today without giving it a second thought? Thanks for joining this explainer.